they know it's been released, and they're sitting back and just, watching the criminals victimize the victims and taking notes on how well it works.
Well, let's see now. I was watching CNN not long ago and watching Jane Harman. She was talking about some projects that, or experiments that the CIA have, that Congress has been funding for all this time. And right now the Intelligence Committee is looking at defunding some of these projects in order to stop them. But now, would do you think? And then, of course, there's a lot of stories out there that Dick Cheney has done a lot of, has approved a lot of projects and mandated that Congress, that they be kept secret from Congress. Could this be presumably one of those projects that could have been set up and Congress was not aware of it, or was this the type of project that was known? Could you?
Sure. That very well could be the case. As you said, what they're looking at with Cheney is an operation that's gone on for 8 to 10 years without the Congress's knowledge. And
right.
The way that happens is they go to the appropriations committees. Some things are spelled out where the money's going, and other things are just listed flat budget. And they don't have an itemized list of where the money's going.
Right.
So, and that's really why Freedom from Covert Surveillance and Harassment is really trying to get the government and certain Congress people interested in opening up an investigation, because it's very likely that most of the Congress people probably don't realize it's going on. They do now because we've been sending them letters and.
Right.
But a lot of that stuff, a lot of the experimentation, and especially MK-Ultra, was done under black budgeted operations, which, basically Congress is signing off on a paycheck, on funding without a list of things that it's actually going to. So when I saw that come to the news that they're investigating, an operation that got passed through Congress that way for the last 8 years involving domestic surveillance, that certainly perked a lot of people's ears.
Right.
Wondering if it was, if this is part of it.
Now, you had mentioned that in your book that you're seeing that this type of directed energy is being used a lot, by people who want to commit sexual assault. Could you elaborate on that?
Well, it's not just directed energy that's meant to harm you. Some of it's meant to control your behavior and control your thoughts. And if you're using it on a young woman or man who lives alone and is an easy target, what they were doing in my case was putting real hits on some of the bottled water and food products in her condo, and then controlling her through directed energy, through control to drink, whatever, or eat whatever they put the rohypnol in. Then you watch and wait until the drug takes effect, and you can break in and there's no recollection of anything that went on.
Okay, now let's talk about Christine's experience. Christine saw a couple of guys focus some kind of laser beam on you, and that got her problems started, and she's talking about how her organs are being fried. How does that work?
The laser beam?
Right.
Laser beam works by two mechanisms. It can cause harm through thermal energy,
right,
or thermal effects, or non-thermal effects. The thermal effects are easy to recognize. That's burning. Non-thermal effects are what kind of we're studying right now in the Freedom from Covert group. What it does to neurotransmitter levels, what it does to melatonin hormone levels. There's that's a really unstudied effect of laser, microwave energy, and ultrasound, some of the other energies that are involved in satellite surveillance.
Now, do you have a record of numbers of people who have been killed because of this?
That I don't know. I know of several people who have committed suicide to get away from the attack. But like in my book, I mentioned one man who was remotely related to my situation.
Mm-hmm.
He did hear what he thought was the devil telling him it was his last night on Earth.
Oh, jeez.
And that night suffered a heart attack that did kill him. And that's one of the things they like to do with it, is to mess with the rate. If you had a weak heart already, it would certainly
Right.
be possible to induce a heart attack. Yeah.
Is there like a profile of a person, of a target?
Excuse me?
Is there like a profile? Is there a certain character of people that they would target, or is it like
No, there seem to be any profile. Everybody, and I've talked to a lot of victims, and they range from, professional men, professional women to housewives.
Wow.
They're really, now there is a handful of people who, have been involved in government agencies or had government jobs that those people stand out. People that know that they were victims of MK Ultra as children.
Wow.
A lot of the projects of MK Ultra are on children, and I have spoken to some of them that are still being surveilled and being attacked. But the majority of the victims fit no profile. They're people from all walks of life and all occupations.
Okay, let's talk about Christine. Like, how has this thing affected your life? This started a few years back, and
it started about a year ago. How has it affected my life? Wow.
Right. I mean, you're a married
It
woman.
psychologically affects you. It
Must drive your husband crazy, huh?
The microwaving is definitely an interesting experience. I've literally almost died 3 times. I've ended up in the emergency room. My internal organs are completely burned, and I can feel it. And I'm doing all kinds of therapies and modalities for healing.
What do medical doctors say about it? Are there records? Can they track it? How do you quantify, objectify
What's happening?
this? Yeah, what's happening?
Well, it's quite interesting. I have been seeing the same physicians for quite some time, and it's a very difficult thing for them to hear and understand.
Exactly.
I think for me personally, I have a lot of credible information, a lot of documentation, but I think that the norm for the Western doctor is that they're not open-minded to perhaps things that could possibly happen that they don't know of or haven't seen, or they can't see it, right? I am, however, seeing a different kind of doctor. I have different types of modalities I do. In fact, I do oxygen therapy to help rejuvenate my cells. I take amino acids.
And what you're paying this out of your own pocket,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
These are not insured, is it?
No.
So, Dr. Hall, do you see this? Is this the kind of experience that your patients? You are an anesthesiologist, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So, is she getting the proper treatment, or how do you handle this? See, the thing is, for people like me, when I first heard about it, I thought, wow, and I as Christina said, well, she's intelligent, attractive woman. She seems to be together, and then, the rest of the phenomena is just me watching television and loving, action movies and so on and so forth. And as I learn more about it, I talk to people, and the first thing they ask is that real, or is it just a product of one's imagination? So I guess that's why I really enjoy having you in the show too, because you bring a lot of credibility, and then I believe in what Christine is saying. But how do you, if you're trying to build this movement of trying to bring as many people to know about it, how are you getting over the credibility barrier on this?
Well, there's a certain subset of the population that's always going to think anyone's crazy that mentions this.
Exactly.
Just the sheer numbers of people finally coming forward with this helps get over the credibility factor, for one.
Right.
It's highly unlikely that several thousand people that are delusional or schizophrenic all of a sudden got together, all with similar symptoms, and all part of 1 or 2 organizations that are trying to fight it. And as programs form together, that actually helps people get over the credibility.
Right.
Because as she said, you can go to the doctor. There's really no, at least as of yet, or that we know of, no test to really directly or disprove it.
Right.
That's why we're looking at neurotransmitter levels and hormone levels. The only people who really know the answers of what to test for are the government, and all of that's still classified.
Wow.
So we're working on things to help show that someone is being attacked, like heat proteins,